It's a pleasure to call Lee Anderson to make his maiden speech.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for allowing me to make my maiden speech. And as we would say in Ashfield, thank you, me duck, for letting me do this. I am bursting with pride as I stand here as the newly elected Member of Parliament for Ashfield. But I want to make tribute to my predecessor, Gloria Di Piero, who was the MP for Ashfield for 9 years, and I'm sure everybody will agree in this chamber that she was well respected on both sides of the House. But I also want to pay respect to my 7 colleagues in Nottinghamshire who were all elected on the same day as me last month. They did a fantastic job, and a special respect and a special mention to my good friend, the Honourable Member for Bassett Law. Overturned a 5,000 deficit into a 14,000 majority. Saw the largest swing in the country. He's a modest man, Madam Deputy Speaker.
He hasn't mentioned it at all.
It's my speech, thank you, Eddie. He's only mentioned his 14,000 majority on one occasion to me. Sorry, it's once a night as we go home over Westminster Bridge. He tells me every single night, but much respect, he certainly has raised the bar. Now, Ashfield was once voted the best place in the world to live by me and my mates one Sunday afternoon in the local Wethersfields. It is really, it's the best place. It's a typical mining constituency, is Ashfield. To the south of the constituency, we have Eastwood, which is the birthplace of D.H. Lawrence. Further to the north, we have Nunkagate, which is the birthplace of our most famous cricketer, Harold Larwood. And further north in Ashfield, we have Teversall, which is where D.H. Lawrence wrote probably his most famous novel, Lady Chatterley's Lover, a book I've read several times. We also have many other great towns and villages in Ashfield, such as Sutton, Kirkby, Annesley, Selston, Jacksdale, Westwood, Bagthorpe, Stampnell. But the place that's closest to my heart in Ashfield is a place where I grew up, which is a mining village called Huthwaite. Now, Huthwaite, like many villages, most of the men worked down the pits in the 70s when I grew up. And I went to a school called John Davis Primary School, and I was always told at school in the 70s, many of us were, work hard lad, do well, take your 11 plus, go to grammar school, and you'll not have to go down the pit like your dad and your granddad and your uncles. But unfortunately, just a couple of years before we was due to take our 11 plus, the Labour government at the time withdrew it from our curriculum. So I was unable to go to grammar school, and none of our school went as a consequence of that. And just a few years later, I was down the pit with my dad, working at the pit where my granddad had worked and my uncles. I did that for many years, and I'm sure my dad, who's watching this right now, a decent, hard-working, working-class bloke, didn't want me down the pit. He wanted better for me, but that was taken away. And I can't help but think that had children in my day had the chance to go to grammar school, then they would have had more opportunities and probably had a better life. Because I'm telling you now, when I worked down those pits in Nottinghamshire, I worked with doctors, I worked with brain surgeons, I worked with airline pilots, I worked with astronauts, all these people, these brilliant people, but they never had the chance. And the Prime Minister is quite right when he says that talent is spread evenly across this country, but opportunity is not. And my constituency is living proof of that. People of Ashfield are a straight-talking bunch, a bit dry, wicked sense of humour, a bit sarcastic sometimes, but that's born out of our tough industrial past. You have to remember that we were the people that dug the coal to fuel the nation. We were the people that sent our young people, our young men and women to war to die for this country. And we were the people that made the clothes that clothed the nation. And we were the people that brewed the beer that got us all persistently drunk every single weekend. In 1993, under a Conservative government, we reopened the Robin Hood line in Ashfield, all through the county of Nottinghamshire, which created endless opportunities for passengers to travel for work, for play, and for jobs. I'm proud to say that now, as I stand here as a Conservative MP in 2020, that this government is once again looking at extending our Robin Hood line to cover the rest of the county, and they're also looking at reopening the Maiden line, which will again carry passengers to the most isolated and rural areas of our country. It's all well and good having good education and good training, but transport it means just as much to the people in my community. My friends and family and my constituents ask me every single day, what's it like to be down here in Westminster? And I say it's brilliant, it's amazing. You know, we've got great staff, the doorkeepers, every single person that works here has been absolutely brilliant to me. It's an amazing place. I've met all these famous people. I've met MPs, I've met lords, I've met ministers. But the best moment for me was last Wednesday night when I got invited to Downing Street, to number 10, for the first time ever in my life. And I walked through that door, and there he was, the man himself, Larry the Cat. Told you it was funny. I was born at the brilliant Kingsmill Hospital in Ashfield. Kingsmill was built by the American Army during World War II to look after its injured service personnel. And after the war, the American government gave Kingsmill Hospital the buildings and the equipment to the people of Ashfield as a gift, as a thank you. What a wonderful gift that is from our American cousins. Absolutely stunning. And I cannot praise the current staff and management at Kingsmill high enough. They've really turned things around. And just 20-odd years after the American government gave Kingsmill Hospital to the people of Ashfield, I was born there, and then my children went on to be born there. But it's not just our hospital in Ashfield that means a lot to me. It's the fact that it has saved my wife's life now for many, many years. My wife was born with a condition called cystic fibrosis. She wasn't diagnosed until she was 18, and for anybody to be told that you have cystic fibrosis, it is a death sentence. It's a nearly death sentence. But, undeterred, my wife, my beautiful wife, went to work for a year. She then went to university. She studied, she became a teacher, and she taught for 10 years until she got to her early 30s, and she couldn't really carry on anymore. So she gave him work, but all that time our brilliant NHS staff looked after her and kept her alive, and I can't thank them enough. But things got really, really bad in her mid-30s, and she had to go on the transplant list to get a double lung transplant. Now, she was on that list for 2 years, and we had 5 false alarms before we finally got the call on December the 19th, 2016. It was 14 hours, the operation, and she spent 3 days in critical care. And I thank my lucky stars for our brilliant NHS. They looked after her, they've kept her alive, and last year she was elected as a Conservative councillor in our own town. I'm incredibly proud. And this party, when they say this party is a party of privilege, I say to people, I'm privileged to be in this party. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.